the sting of betrayal burns coldest when it comes from a brother. For Ibrahim Traoré, the young interim president of Burkina Faso, this truth settled like a blade between his ribs as he stared at the name circled in red ink: Solomon Kabore. The dossier trembled in his hands, its pages heavy with evidence of a plot to rip power from his grasp. A plot orchestrated not by a foreign adversary or a faceless enemy, but by the boy who had once shared his dreams, his struggles, and his vow to transform their nation. In that moment, the weight of leadership, the coups thwarted, the terrorists battled, the international isolation endured, paled against the crushing realization that the friend he'd loved as family had sought to destroy him. Their story began in the sun-baked alleys of Bobo-Dioulasso, Burkina Faso's cultural heart. Ibrahim, slight but sharp-eyed, and Solomon, broad-shouldered with a laugh that shook mango trees, were inseparable. They navigated childhood as a unit, dodging bullies, chasing goats through the market, and kicking a makeshift ball of rags until the streetlights flickered. At 14, when Ibrahim's father died in a mining accident, Solomon moved into his friend's one-room home, sleeping on the floor beside him, their whispered ambitions weaving a future where they'd lift their nation from poverty. "We'll be different," Ibrahim vowed one night, their faces lit by a kerosene lamp. "No more corruption, no more forgotten villages." Solomon clasped his hand. Side by side, always. But paths diverged. Ibrahim joined the military, rising swiftly through ranks with a mix of tactical brilliance and unyielding integrity. Solomon studied political science in Senegal, returning home to work in rural development, eschewing the capital's glitter for dust-choked villages. When Traoré seized power in 2022, amid escalating jihadist violence and public fury at the government's incompetence, his first call was to Solomon. "Help me rebuild," he urged. "The people trust you." Solomon declined. "My place is here, with them," he said, gesturing to the farmers outside his office. "You rule. I'll keep you honest." For months, their bond held. Traoré funneled resources to Solomon's projects: wells dug, clinics built, schools staffed. But as crises mounted, terrorist attacks in the north, economic sanctions from regional bodies, whispers of discontent within the military, the president's attention fractured. Meetings with Solomon were postponed. Calls went unanswered. "He's changed," Solomon confided to a colleague. "Power isolates. Maybe we need new blood." The plot unfolded in shadows. On September 19th, 2023, Colonel Kabore, Traoré's head of military intelligence, slid a dossier across the presidential desk. Grainy photos of secret meetings, encrypted radio transcripts, and damning bank transfers. Among the conspirators were officers Traoré had promoted days earlier. But the deepest cut lay in an addendum, a handwritten list found in General Idrissa's safe house. Traoré's breath halted at the third name: Solomon Kabore, civilian coordinator, code the teacher. That night, as elite troops arrested plotters nationwide, Traoré paced his office, a storm of grief and fury. Solomon's face haunted him, the boy who'd shielded him from stones, the man who'd promised to keep him honest. At dawn, when aides urged a triumphant speech, Traoré scribbled notes with shaking hands. "The nation is safe," he told cameras, jaw tight. "But today, I mourn a brother lost." The public's confusion curdled into outrage as Solomon's role leaked. Social media erupted. "Traitor!" screamed headlines. Yet in rural clinics and dusty classrooms, whispers swirled. Solomon wouldn't betray us. Maybe Traoré betrayed him. Traoré's jeep rattled down the dirt road to Solomon's village, flanked by unseen bodyguards. He needed answers, not as president, but as Ibrahim, the boy who'd shared bread and dreams. The hut was unchanged. Mud walls, thatched roof, the scent of millet stew. Solomon knelt in prayer, then turned, eyes weary. "Took you long enough." What followed was less interrogation than elegy. Solomon accused clinics underfunded, Traoré's generals skimming aid money, villages bombed by militants while the army hid in cities. "You became what we hated," he spat. Traoré fired back, sanctions choking the economy, allies demanding bribes, impossible choices between bad and worse. "You think I wanted to abandon them? While you played hero, I fought to keep this country alive." Their voices broke. Solomon confessed. The plotters had promised clean governance, a council of grassroots leaders. "I believed them. Believed we could save you from yourself." Traoré's reply was a whisper. "You should have believed me." As handcuffs clicked, Solomon murmured, "Forgive me." Traoré said nothing. But when guards shoved Solomon into a van, the president snapped, "Gently, he's still a son of Burkina." The trial became a national catharsis. For weeks, prosecutors unraveled the plot. Generals bribed with smuggled gold, politicians funneling arms to militants. Solomon's role as a moral compass for disillusioned idealists. Traoré mandated transparency, live broadcasts, international observers. Solomon's family seated front row. Verdicts landed like hammer blows. Generals received life sentences. Solomon, 10 years. Critics raged, too lenient. Others wept. A patriot punished for caring too much. Traoré, stone-faced in court, later shut himself in his office with a faded photo. Two boys grinning in a dried-up riverbed. But action replaced anguish. Traoré launched Brothers of the Homeland, diverting $200 million from seized assets into rural youth programs. The initiative's logo, two clasped hands forming Burkina Faso's map, adorned rebuilt schools, microloan hubs, and coding boot camps. At a clinic opening in Solomon's village, an elder pressed Traoré's hand. He'd be proud. The president's eyes glistened. He should be here. The monument's unveiling drew thousands. 3 obsidian pillars, truth, justice, fraternity, towered over Ouagadougou Square. Traoré's speech was brief, scarred by emotion. "This isn't for me. It's for every child who still believes in us." As cameras flashed, a boy named Solomon darted forward, flowers in hand. Traoré froze, then knelt, hugging him fiercely. The crowd erupted, not in cheers, but in a collective exhale of healing. That night, alone beneath the stars, Traoré replayed Solomon's prison letter. "You kept your word. Forgive me for doubting." He tucked it beside his heart, a wound and a compass. Burkina Faso's road remains jagged. Militants strike, inflation bites. Yet in Traoré's reforms, glimmers emerge. A girl in Solomon's village coding an app to track water shortages. A former Coup soldier teaching farming tech to veterans. The president, grayer now, still visits that crumbling schoolhouse, tracing their carved pledge. Betrayal, he learned, is not an end, but a brutal rebirth. For nations, as for men, trust shattered must be rebuilt, not from innocence, but from the resolve to forge something sturdier than pain. As Traoré told a journalist, "My brother's betrayal didn't break Burkina Faso. It showed us how much we're willing to fight for her." In the silence of his office, he keeps 2 photos. One of 2 boys dreaming in the dust, the other of a president and a child named Solomon. Their hands clasped like a bridge across time,